Hey, folks. Hold on. Well, good evening, my friends. Good evening. So I don't know if I did. I lose the signal on Periscope? Nobody's. I can't see the video, and I don't know if there's anybody on Periscope. Is there anybody on Periscope? I don't know if I lost the signal there. Hold on a second here. Okay, I thought I lost the signal because mine isn't refreshing. Mine has no signal. Nobody is here. Yes, nobody's here. But I don't really worry about that anymore because that's Periscope. Yep, here in Perry. Yeah, so I don't really concern myself with what's happening on Periscope. The signal was not loading your scope. The signal was not loading your scope. The signal wasn't loading my scope. No, scope wasn't loading it, not the signal. My signal's fine. So YouTube is fine. It's the same signal. So YouTube's working. So obviously it's just a glitch on the Periscope side. But if you exit and come back in, it fixes itself. So just exit and come back in and you'll be just fine considering all the glitches here on YouTube. I mean on Periscope. YouTube is fine. YouTube is running quite well. Typo. Okay, so wait a minute. I haven't... what did I miss there, Entire Meyer? So, hello, Sponge, Kathy. Hello, Kathy, AMG, Entire Meyer. Dr. Alcom, Twitty, Twist Mint. Who did I miss? Entire Meyer. So, for your blue shirt. You mean this blue shirt? It's Polo. I got it at Polo. Hello, Kareem. Landline is safest? Why do you say that? Why do you think that? Tony's going to say, no, you got to get burner phones. He's still on the burner phone thing. So, but Tony doesn't watch my videos. So it's like, yeah, he's just going to do what he wants because it's like, burner phones and, perfect. So, so ham is received open air. So what? That's what we're going to talk about. That yik, yak, tick, tacky. That's what we're going to talk about is to compare. I don't know if you've seen the video on cell phones that I just posted a few days ago, and it's moving up pretty fast. It's may end up to be my top video ever. What do you think about HP Instant Ink? Are they watching more than my ink online? Any signal can be heard. Yeah, of course any signal can be heard, but that's, people misunderstand, step by step what goes on. Like, my signals can be heard, so I'm going to stay on Facebook. Is that the philosophy? Yeah, my of course, Twitty watches it. Twitty, I'm still sorry, I'm late on your shipment here. Just too overwhelmed here with I don't even have my car yet, and that's still being the latest one, Kathy, on cell phones. It's on the cell phone. What is the title? The safest cell phone for surveillance. Please tell me if HP Instant Ink is safe. Even over the... Come on, Tony. There's always a signal. Even over the wires. It doesn't matter that there's a signal, TJ Taplin. Whether there's a signal or not, you cannot avoid it. There's a signal. Otherwise, go use smoke signals. And that's what we're going to talk about. So what do you think is your safest, TJ Taplin? Are you saying you're going to go with what? Cell phones? Probably going to say cell phones. Or you're going to say, no, I'm going to use WhatsApp. That's going to be the safest. I'm going to use WhatsApp. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight is people truly have no understanding, and some people were complaining today to me about, hey, ham radio is very public and it's open, and so it must be unsafe. No, I am not talking about HP Zucking Instant Ink, Tony. You want to talk about your Zucking burner phone. That's what you want to talk about. I have a ham license. Well, you should. So do I. Here's my QRP radio. My QRP radio. I love QRP mode. So I'm, focused on QRP mode. The problem is there's a lot of QRM where I am. The noise floor is very high here. So it's kind of frustrating. So the signal isn't as strong as it should be. Yeah, it's very it's nice and reasonably priced, and I got to solve other problems. Like being in the middle of a city, the signal is not the best. Okay, what happened to my? Why did my YouTube die here? How the hell does HP know when I'm running out of ink? Why don't you ask them? This is not our topic tonight. No PayPal on that ham. No pigtail on that ham. No, no, no. The ham radio is tied to a dipole antenna that I have there. So I have to plug in the dipole antenna to this. So it's a big antenna outside, which is on my video. So I have a big 66-foot dipole outside. So then I got to plug it into this to use this. But this is battery operated. So if there's a earthquake or something else happens that really happened here, we can communicate, and I don't have to worry about losing cell phone signal. So because you signed up for the okay, all you have to say is you don't know about smart printers. 1/4 wave, quarter wave dipole? No, a standard dipole. Standard dipole. Half a wavelength. Let's talk about the important tech like Bitcoin. No, we're not going to talk about Bitcoin. If you're not invested in Bitcoin, that's your problem. I'm invested in Bitcoin. But we're not going to be we're not going to be talking about that. If you're not interested in communication with cell phone and ham radio and landline, then you're in the wrong topic tonight. So that's our topic tonight, is what's safest. Now, if you watch the video on cell phones are, just the worst thing that you can ever do. I mean, these things are spy bricks. So I don't even like bringing this outside of the house. I'm as you guys know, I have a BlackBerry Bold 9900, which is, I don't have it right here, but I like to bring a phone that's not a spy brick when I'm outside, because this is just tracking me every zucking second. So and it's abusively tracking me every second, and all the apps in here are tracking me every second. Hello, Daryl from Kentucky. So because of that, a lot of people don't actually understand. And just to summarize what the video talks about, some people have come to me. One of you have said, "Oh, I'm good. I bought a burner phone." Well, Tony's one. I got a burner phone, and I got a plan from Mint, and I did not use my real name on the burner phone, or I paid for it in cash, and I used the Mint for my plan, and I bought the SIM cards without using my ID, and so I must be zucking safe. And if you watch the video, you can say, "You are so zuck, you don't even know it." The reality is, it's just impossible to hide completely on cell phones. What camera am I using? Nope, you're still zucking screwed. Yes. What camera is this? A Logitech. Kokomoko. Logitech, whatever the latest Logitech webcam is. That's what I'm using right now. It's not as sharp as it could be, but it's. I'm sending it 1080 to YouTube, and I think it's sending it at 480 to Periscope. So yeah, 922. I think. Yeah, I think it's a nine something. It's a nine something. So I'm sending 1080 to YouTube, 1080 to Twitch, and 480 to Periscope. I don't like the way asking me to accept cookies. There you go. Possible to anonymous and mobile if one is savvy. Uh, I guess you didn't watch my video, Life of Crawford. You must not have watched my video. Could you tell me how you could do that? DKVNY. You cannot tell that because I'm only sending 480 on Periscope. The max resolution of Periscope is 480. The max resolution on YouTube is 1080. So it's high def on YouTube. It's not high def at all on Periscope. It doesn't matter if you blow it up. It's pretty bad resolution. My battery is going to die soon. Just one. Okay, Kathy, charge it and then come back. Give you half an hour. You Signal VPN. Oh, more zucked up. Oh, Life of Crawford. That has nothing to do with using the phone. Why do these sites keep asking me to accept cookies? That's not the topic, Tony. One of these days I will answer your question, but that's not the topic tonight. Please talk about your burner phone. Don't talk about things that are not the topic. Tony, you're very obsessed with your burner phone. You should talk about that. That is what is the topic tonight. The video covers every possible configuration. Yeah, the video adjusts to your resolution of your device. If you have a high bandwidth, it's going to go. It's a topic. No, is it true? Only Face app from even if it's offline. Kareem, no, I don't believe that. But you mean is it uploading photos off the phone? No, I don't believe that will do that. But it's doing worse things. Sending packets via ham is pretty secure. No, yak. Tic-tacky, that is not true. Single-use burners are absolutely necessary for OPSEC. Okay, so back to what we're talking about. So I'm going to give you a flat-out statement. Nothing is safe, obviously. If that's not obvious to you, I don't know what is. Nothing is safe. However, if you're going to weigh the risk, I'm going to make a vote about the safest platform for communication to be ham radio. And yet ham radio is identified. Ham radio is not secret. Ham radio, you have to announce your identity, and everyone knows who they're talking to in real life. It's ham radio is real life communications. And so there's no faking who you are on ham radio. You can fake yourself on GMRS, FRS, and other frequencies, but on ham radio frequencies, it's who you are. But yet, I do not believe that the ham radio dangers come close to the dangers of cell phones and even landlines, and that's what we're going to talk about. So that's my summary statement, and some of you will disagree with this because you don't understand how things work. But truly, I'm not going to go learn and use ham radio if I believed ham radio was the most dangerous. N4 BYU, so you're in region 4. I'm in 6. Okay, what's the difference between a ham radio and a CB? A CB is no license and used only in the CB frequencies, which is regulated on the device so that you can't screw up a CB radio because the FCC ruled that the limitation will be on the CB radio itself. Ham radios don't have much limitations. We can do whatever we want. So we can change, we can abuse the system on ham radio. That's why you need to have a license. That's why you gotta get a test, because you can abuse ham radio. You can go against the law and do things against the law, and such. Ham radio, directional antennas, short messages before you can be pinpointed. Region 3. Hello. Murray the Hut is in Region 3. I'm in Region 6, which should be obvious. Look at the sun and you know it's region 6. Yes, I am region 6. Well, I guess I could have been region. Is it, what's the one above me? What's Washington? Isn't that 5 or? I got to look at the region map again. I don't recall. Um, so yes, so I'm in region 6. So, and of course, if you use a HF radio like this, you can talk to anywhere in any region, including out of country. Are regions by time zone? No, they're specific. For example, if you're on the East Coast, you're in region 0, like in the Northeast. That's region 0, and then it goes numerical. Region 1 is in the Midwest. Region 2, and so on, and then the South, and then I'm in region 6. It's dark out in Phoenix. Yes, so we will be dark. It's dark here actually, but it doesn't look like it. It's actually dark. Yeah, it's dark outside. Lights are on, but from the camera point of view, where does one buy a ham radio? Get a license first, then you can buy a cheap Baofeng for $25. You can have a your region 9 sponge. Your region 9. And there's, of course, that's just the regions within the American area here. Rob, where? Amazon, Tony. Go to Amazon and buy a Baofeng radio for $25, a UV5R, and that's popular among preppers. Preppers like have a stack of UV5Rs and they stick it in their bag. I hope they leave a charge in their bug out bags, because they're going to leave it in their bug out bags and it's not charged. It's not going to be too useful. Hello, Mitchell T. Hello, Mitch. I have the AARL license manual in front of me now. So Twitty, do the online test as well, but I found that without the manual, I did the first test, my tech license, I did it without the manual. And in retrospect, I said, I was just memorizing it and I didn't really understand what was going on. So when you actually read the manual, then it comes back to you and says, oh, I remember that. Okay, Kathy, I'll see you later. No more piano. So you're not going to miss any piano. So anyway, going back to communications, what phones do government agencies use when speaking confidentially? Going secure and all that. Life of Crawford, surprisingly, many government officials use a regular phone and don't really fucking care. The same way they use email. But if you're in intelligence, most of you will use encrypted phones, which we do not have access to. It's actually illegal for us to have that. But yeah, so government, the proper people in government, the one that have access to these, are authorized to use encrypted communications. And if you go to the military channels, even on radio, they have encrypted channels on radio. Some police have encrypted channels. Some. Usually federal agencies like FBI will have encrypted channels. Military have encrypted channels for sure, because you can listen to the military channel and you can't understand anything. So military has the encrypted channels on radio. And beyond that, nothing else in the world is encrypted. Aren't Signal, WhatsApp, Telegram encrypted? Encrypted to a point, Life of Crawford. It's not a question if it's encrypted. The question is who can decrypt it? Okay? That's a question you need to ask. Anyone can encrypt anything, but who has the ability to decrypt? If you have the ability to decrypt, then what is actually being... So, for example, iMessage is encrypted. Says Apple. Apple says iMessage is encrypted. Signal says Signal's encrypted. Telegram says Telegram's encrypted. WhatsApp says WhatsApp is encrypted. Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. Okay? Uh, Signal supposedly has this open source encrypted portion, so nobody can doubt that supposedly no one can doubt that the encryption works. And the Signal open source is used by WhatsApp. Telegram is its own open source, supposedly, of the communications. So Telegram, but these are text communications. They have nothing to do with phone. We're talking about phone. But just to let you know, though, that the fact of the matter is that the encryption affects only a small proportion of communications on WhatsApp, Signal, and mostly WhatsApp and Telegram. And the reality is a lot of the traffic that goes on there is encrypted only from the outside, but Telegram and WhatsApp can read it. And those are all the group sessions, that all group discussions on WhatsApp and Telegram, which is most of the platform, group discussions, those are encrypted by the platform, not by your device. So anyone at the platform can read everything you say. And besides, a group, if you have any doubt about this, they can censor your content. They can block you. They can say you're talking about restricted topics, and they will block you and say, how the zuck do you know what my topic is if you're supposedly encrypted? Well, because they're not. They're not. They're faking you. So it's not true. So there's a limited amount of truth to what they say. And just by, for example, a Telegram and WhatsApp said, well, we use open source. Wrong. WhatsApp uses a tiny portion of the open source for Signal, and Signal did the open source. Nothing in WhatsApp is open source, nothing. Telegram released a small portion of open source, small portion of it, for a very limited kind of communication. The rest is not open source. So it's just a bunch of lies. I should do the same thing. I should just release a small portion of my code and say I'm open source too, and then have you believe that. You only trust Skype, and this Tony is like, I've never seen anyone so sucked up in security as Tony. He likes burner phones. He's going to use his burner phones long term, and he loves Skype and what's the other one? Skype and what? Yahoo video chat. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about the bad parts here that you ought to know. So in my video, I broke out the safety of communications on a cell phone. The video is about a cell phone. I broke out the safety of communications by opposition. Who are you hiding from? If you're hiding from the government, or you're hiding from your ISP, or you're hiding from social media giants, Google, Facebook, Apple, Twitter, etc. And then so those are the three categories. Who are you hiding from? Are you hiding from the government? Are you hiding from your ISPs, because ISP tracks everything you do? Are you hiding from social media? So if you think about all these opposition points, and I will compare the three for each type of device, and then we're going to get into why it's safe or not safe. Okay. So one thing at a time here. One thing at a time. So cell phones. So I'm going to tell you, if you watch the video, you will conclude that it's actually fairly close to impossible to talk anonymously from using a cell phone from the government. Okay? From the government, I don't know how you could possibly hide using a cell phone. It's going to be tough. I'd say close to impossible. So if you're a dissident and you're in China, or Iran and you're going against the government of those countries, or you're in Saudi Arabia, the last thing I would do is talk about what you're doing on a zucking cell phone, because I'm going to tell you right now, I have absolutely no doubt that they can track you in all of those platforms, in all those countries, on a cell phone completely. I'm talking location, intercept you with Stingray, intercept your calls, watch your text traffic. They can do anything. So if you're opposition, if you're hiding from a government, I say you're pretty much zucked. The mere fact that you have a cell phone means you're already zucked. Okay? So let me repeat that. Snowden does not have a phone. Edward Snowden does not have a phone, because he knows exactly what I know, and that is it is impossible not to be tracked completely by a cell phone. So you make a choice. You get a phone, the government will track you. There is no escape. None. Okay, and you say, well, they don't know who I am. Okay, there is only one case. There's only one case where you can get away with hiding from a government with a phone. It's only one case, and it's temporary, and it is a one-time use burner phone, used only once, and the other person also has to be on a burner phone. 2 burner phones. That is the only way to escape. 2 burner phones. Probably, Tony, probably. Okay? If you have 1 burner phone like Tony said, I'm so smart, I got a zucking burner phone. Zucked. 2 burner phones used only once. 1 call, short phone call, dump it. Short. 1 phone call, short. Then you dump it, throw it away. Get another one. Okay? So that's, you're going to sell it, Monkey Man? Okay? Other than that, you better not have any kind of, if you're a dissident, if you're in one of those countries I just mentioned, and you're in opposition to a dictatorship government, don't carry a cell phone. Don't carry a cell phone. It's too late. Now, next question. What about the ISP? What can ISP track? What can the ISP track? So the ISP can also track you everywhere. The only advantage you have against the ISP is they may not necessarily know who you are, though they can track a phone and know what a phone's doing. It may not be clear to them who the identity is, what disposable phones, what the zuck. That's called a burner phone at Flatwater. That's what I was just saying. Tony, good luck with that. Okay? It's like, can you not interrupt me with things that just don't make any sense? You have a VPN. Yeah, you got, what's your VPN again? Nord? VPN, a phone connection one? No. Boycott box. VPN does not have anything to do with phones. VPN is only for data. That has nothing to do with a phone. Oh, yes, I got a VPN on. Yeah. Well, you're talking voice. What the fuck does a VPN have to do with that? A voice goes in a different channel. It doesn't get affected by VPN. So, no. If I was planning, yes, you will get caught. That's what I was saying. If your enemy is the government, you're zucked. ISP, on an ISP side, the ISP knows everything to do with your phone call. Your data can be hidden using a VPN. Only the data side, not the phone side. The phone side cannot. The texting side cannot. Okay? Texting side. Hey, Zodiac. Oh my gosh, Zodiac Tiger. You're like invisible. You don't like me anymore. I haven't seen you in a while. Voice over IP can go over VPN, but that doesn't hide you. Voice over IP will, depending on who you're talking to, will come out of the VPN out in the open. Government can hear that. Okay, so you can use voice over IP, and your traffic traverses the rest of the internet out in the open, past the VPN. They have the listening post there. You're tracked. You're using Skype. You're zocked. You're using FaceTime. You're zocked. You're zocked with all of that. Now, FaceTime supposedly only Apple can decrypt, but they have a relationship with Apple. They can go to Apple and decrypt it. So you're zocked. Okay, so that's really a good question, because I actually stumbled for a second. When you get, okay, what's the question here? What did I miss? I have the, I definitely need the, where you get those phones from. What phones? Are we talking about burner phones? Burner phones, I don't, burner phones have a particular problem because they can track you. Watch my video. The problem is burner phones have usefulness only if you never use the data, you never log into it, you don't use the Android part of it, you use it only once and you dump it. It has no practical use for normal folks. So for normal people, no, don't use a burner phone. I suppose I use my VPN, Skype, the real burner phones. Tony, you're still Zuck. Real burner phones hard to come by anymore because of Patriot Act ID requirements. Exactly. So they're not. It's not the burner phone itself. It's easy to get a phone that's you can rotate a bunch of phones and kind of confuse the issue. And here's how you do that. You get get used phones. You get a bunch of used phones. A bunch of them. Maybe. If you really want to hide, maybe have a set of 10 Blackberries, and rotate them. That'll just confuse the issue. And then have maybe 50 SIM cards. You won't hide, but at least it will confuse people. Okay? It'll be hard to collect data. You're not hiding, but the government can still track you. You're not making sense, right? I buy a phone with cash. Nobody knows who I am. Tony, can you just watch the zucking video? I mean, I'm telling you, your idea is zucked up. You don't know how you're tracked. Okay? You said, I'm going to buy a burner phone. I'm not being tracked. Well, you're using a zucking phone with Android on it, and Google's tracking you because you just logged into Google, and they have your zucking location within 6 feet that you can't turn off. Oh, I bought a burner phone, but I'm going to log in as Tony. I'm going to log in as Tony to my phone with my Google ID, tony@gmail.com, and I log into my phone, and I said, it's a burner phone, I'm safe. Suck, Tony. Use your sucking head. It's an Android phone. They said, oh, Tony, who's at this location, just logged in on this new phone. It's a burner. It doesn't matter whether it's a smartphone or a dumb phone. If it's zucking Android or iOS, you are zucked. Oh my gosh, Tony. No. Tony, you have an imagined sense of security that is not correct. Okay? You have just imagined sense of security that you're not, that's not, this just, there's no, you're going to be found as easily as anything. And you waste your time trying to think you can protect yourself. If you don't understand how they're tracking you, then you're not going to succeed. You have to understand that this device has Wi-Fi triangulation. So the only way you're not going to be tracked is to use a sucking non-Android and non-iOS phone. That's it. Hello, Lavelle. So which means you need a BlackBerry. BlackBerry. An old one, 10 years old. 10 years old BlackBerry. That's it. Well, not 10 years. 2011, 2012 would be the latest, probably the latest BlackBerry you would get. 2011, 2012. Beyond that, that's it. Otherwise, Android's tracking you every single zucking second. What about my old Nextel Bumblebee phone? No more support for that. And besides, you can't text on it. Every phone will work on any modern network. now has an E911 location service. Uh, yeah, but it's kind of limited. The devices with GPS, they're which is kind of the problem with the government version. Is your the government can track you. Triangulation is GPS. who, Triangulation is GPS ground based. The flat water, please don't pass this information, okay? Wi-Fi triangulation is Wi-Fi triangulation. It has nothing to do with GPS. Wi-Fi triangulation is not a GPS. Not. It's tracked by Wi-Fi. It's tracked by locations of every single Wi-Fi router in the zucking world. It's not GPS. So, can you use flip phones? Yes. Can you? I'd rather not because you can't text with them. So I'd rather use I'd rather use a BlackBerry. So my recommended phone is a BlackBerry, and then you change the SIM card as often as you want. I got a stack of SIM cards. I change phone numbers. I change phone numbers constantly. Rosinante Paladin, why are you so worried about? Good night, sir. Why are you so worried to be tracked? Rosinante here doesn't care. You don't have to care, Rosinante. I don't worry about being tracked. Do you like to be tracked? Rosinante here likes to be tracked. Why don't you enjoy being tracked? I don't want to be tracked. You enjoy being tracked? Go to Facebook. They'll track you very well. Okay, so I don't need to answer that. That's kind of a, to be honest, kind of a dunce question. Okay, if you don't understand why well, don't worry about it. Not firstly, Rocinante, you don't have to worry about it. You certainly don't have to worry about it. If you don't worry about being tracked, then it doesn't worry me either. I don't care if they track you, Rocinante. I just don't want to be tracked. Okay, if you don't want to worry about it, don't worry about it. For those of you who are not worried about it, not gonna try to convince you otherwise, because if you don't understand what the dangers are, then it's kind of pointless trying to explain. Okay, because you actually think there are no dangers, and this is not the scope for that. This is not the broadcast for that. You can watch videos that explain why that's very, very dangerous. You must be one of those with nothing to hide, Rosinante. Why don't you watch my video on you've got nothing to hide? Then you come back here and say, oh yeah, I guess I really have nothing to hide. Is there a way to protect your videos from scammers? What the fuck does that mean? Is an OnStar tracking those BMWs? Yes, Tony, they are. Yes, they are. They are. What about a flip phone? I just said flip phones. Flip phones can be tracked by the government. It can be tracked by your ISP, but it cannot be. It's not useful to Google and iOS. So flip phones are great for keeping social media from tracking you. It doesn't affect the tracking of a carrier or an ISP. You are sick if you approve of being stalked. What? Yeah. So somebody says they don't mind being tracked. Well, Rocinante is likely a millennial and doesn't care about being tracked. So they're gonna go put their lives out on social media forever, and then when they're doxxed, they said somebody doxed me. Yeah, but how do I undo that? And then you come to me years later and say I need to undo it, but I've been doxed, and it's like, Zuck you. There's nothing I can do. I mean, I tell you not to be tracked, and if you ignore me, then there's nothing I can do about it. Enjoy being doxxed. It's on my channel there, Rosinante, Rob Braxman Tech on YouTube. The specific video that you need to watch is called Nothing to Hide, which explains why use Norton. Yes, if you want to be Zuck, that's the best one. If you're if you're a young man, Rosanante, or young woman, if you're young, then you may not understand. So you watch the video, but this is not the time I'm going to try to explain it. So, yes, Raise V said, read the book 1984 because they're being tracked, and apparently it's no big deal to you guys. Videos break it down for your understanding. Is satellite radio really working with the government? The government tracking us? What do you mean by satellite radio? Are you talking about Sirius XM or what? What do you mean by satellite radio? Or are you talking about satellite telephones? Satellite telephones are tracking you, of course. There's many layers of data being pulled and indexed and reshuffled. Exactly. Okay, so I don't need to keep explaining this over and over because this is not the time for it. But I'm telling you that the video is on the cell phones, that there's almost no way to hide yourself from a government and from your temporarily you can confuse the ISP, but they know you from your financial transaction. Okay? Yes, Tony, I get it. So what do you want to know? So, don't use it. So I don't think that I need to worry about Sirius FM being a tracker. No, that is not. That is a one way. It's only receive. So they're not picking up your data. So how is that helpful to them if they don't have any data on you? So anyway, the question that I got is considering the difficulty of getting safety from cell phones. Is there safety using a landline? Is there safety using a landline? Now, let me just tell you the advantages of a landline and disadvantages. Now, the landline is even more tracked by the government. If you don't know that your cell traffic and phone conversations are being tracked by the government, you need to watch or read some of the stuff from Wikipedia on the Snowden revelations on this program called PRISM by the NSA. PRISM is directly attached to your phone traffic, and PRISM is where your carrier reports your traffic comings and goings using the phone. And one of the issues that I was telling people is, okay, so if the government still has to go to the carrier to get information, then you would think that the carrier and the government have the same information, and therefore the government doesn't have much. Wrong. Two things that I need you to understand that if you don't know this. Two things. One is the depending on the agency, the National Zucking Agency has voice printing capability. So if you talk on Skype, you talk on Viper, you talk on Signal, you talk on FaceTime, you talk on normal phone, you text. All of this are all encompassed by the National Zucking Agency, and yes, they can get all the details on all the metadata from the carrier, which actually is forwarded to them automatically using the PRISM program of the NSA. It's forwarded to the three-letter agency automatically, so they can just do a lookup and find out who made a phone call whenever. They have that, but what they add to that is voice printing. Yes, AOL, whatever. I don't need to explain. I just said any digital voice. If you use digital voice, it's going to go voice over IP anywhere it goes on the line and it traverses the internet out in the open. It will be listened to by three-letter agencies and will spot your voice. And if your voice is on the list, then they will find you in seconds. They will find you in seconds, and this applies to anyone, anywhere in the world. So for example, this is why Osama bin Laden didn't want to use a phone, because if he even spoke, his voice is heard on a phone anywhere, the voice print will catch him. So he didn't do that. Okay? Please make WhatsApp group and we'll make good conversation about ongoing trends. No ducking way. New world of friends. Are you crazy? You think WhatsApp is safe? Suck. Don't they have everyone's voice? Yes, I'm sure they have everyone's voice print by now. Yes, especially Americans. I'm sure they have voice print of every American. Do not ducking use WhatsApp. Oh my gosh. Uh, uh, yeah, don't use WhatsApp. Zuck will zuck you. He actually admitted it in Congress. He said, I should play you the video. Yes, it is true that to offer our service, although we do not read what you say on WhatsApp, we share the data, especially photos. Yeah, try the voice changer. You don't know the technology that they use. And I hear it's very, very sophisticated, and you can't evade it with those voice changer things. So if you use it, I can always say the 3-letter. You cannot say the 3 letters. I can say it because they're not going to go do voice recognition on this. Too much, too lengthy of a process. So let me say it. I can say NSA. You say National Ducking Agency. Then which one we have to use? I have one. It's called BraxMe, and it's not owned by Zuck. In general, well, Signal's okay. You can use Signal. It's not perfect either, but Signal's a little bit better. Telegram has some limitations. Telegram has some serious limitations. Some people have claimed that, we're so trusting of Telegram. Don't think so. They have automatic filters because they actually listen to your conversations and your content, and they actually block people who do things that are outside of their terms of service. Like if you're trying to sell drugs, they'll know, and then they block you. Well, how is that secure? Okay? So use my app, BraxMe. That's one. Because it's not owned by Zuck. I own it. That's what I use. That's the only one I trust because I wrote it. So, anyway. So when it comes to cell phones, you're pretty much, very, very limited to what you can do to hide on a cell phone. There is a kind of phone that at least can hide from your ISP. So it's a new phone that's going to come out, and you can hide from your ISP. You cannot hide from you can hide from Google, Apple, etc., but you cannot hide from your ISP or from the government. But at least it doesn't require you to use a BlackBerry. And the new phone is called a Librem 5. It's a Purism Librem 5. It's on pre-order only. I think it'll come out in October. And doesn't matter, Tony. You can use your neighbor's ISP, and they're tracking you within 6 ducking feet. Oh, the neighbor's using you've been triangulated. I mean, I can't believe that after all the years I've been talking about this, and people still don't understand Wi-Fi ducking triangulation. 4 years of me talking about Wi-Fi triangulation, and they still don't get it. And 4 years I've been talking about EXIF data on your photos, which also has your location. And people say, is it safe to use Facebook? I just answered that, Bob Hope. Burner phones are not safe except for one-time single call use, calling another person on a burner phone. That is the only limited use case. 2 people on a brand new burner phone, 1 conversation only. Dump it afterwards. That is it. Beyond that, it is not useful. If you think you're going to hide with that, no. All burner phones are Android. The moment you use it, your location will be spotted. So it's got to be a short conversation, and you got to dump it and move on. Do not use it from your If you're gonna hang out somewhere, don't use it there. Okay? Don't use steal neighbor's Wi-Fi. Your phone is connected, transmitting a local. If you use your neighbor's Wi-Fi, you are triangulated to 6 zucking feet to your zucking house, so they know you're using somebody else's Wi-Fi. Don't connect your home Wi-Fi to it. You don't have a choice, skills. Skills. Your phone does not need to connect. You are triangulated whether you connect or not. I guess people don't understand the technology. Your phone connects, period. You have a phone, it connects. It's called promiscuous mode. If you don't know what promiscuous mode is, you're not a hacker. I'm going to tell you right now. You turn on your Android. This is an Android. It knows where I am. Okay? There's no way to turn that off. How do you fucking turn it off? Tell me. There's only way to turn this off, and that is to put it in a Faraday bag, turn off the power, and take out the battery. That's it. Can you do that? As you know, you can't take off the battery with most phones. Ariel from Argentina. Now you have a different name. You're going. Oh my gosh, you're going to confuse me here. Different name, different profile, different photo, different everything. Ariel VP from Argentina. Thank you for going to YouTube. That's appreciated. Or shoot it with a 12 gauge shotgun. There you go, Yik Yak. Now, don't use the app Yik Yak. That'll track your location. Yik Yak was an old app, that was location based. I already saw that movie, Tony. They're actually doing that. It's being done by a company called Palantir. Peter Thiel. He's doing Person of Interest. It's in effect in LA. They're already doing it. But people don't listen to me. Okay, so given that what I'm trying to tell you is that there's very limited protection you can do on the phone, and especially if you use apps. Thousands of commercial apps, the ones that you trust and think that you're going to use every day because you don't care about it. To give you an example, the Weather Channel app and whatever. I'm even concerned about apps that require location like Craigslist and Yelp. Anytime an app requires a location and those apps don't function well without location, I am really, really bothered about what they're doing. Because these apps sell your data, especially they have ads. They're selling the data of your location with your IP address. Okay, so a lot of these apps that require location are really, really zucked up. So basically the idea of using the phone, if you have a Android or iOS phone, you're zucked. Now they cannot. That doesn't help because of Wi-Fi triangulation skills. That only helps with the IP address, not Wi-Fi triangulation. Okay, when you use a non-Android and non-iOS phone, there's no Wi-Fi triangulation. There's no Wi-Fi triangulation. Of course, Craigslist still exists. There is no Wi-Fi triangulation on an old BlackBerry. There's no Wi-Fi triangulation on old BlackBerry, not a new one. The new ones are Android. They're Chinese. Okay, but the original BlackBerry does not have Wi-Fi triangulation. BlackBerry should come back on and, except they sold the name now to China. So the new BlackBerry phones are actually Android, so they're very unsafe. You cannot evade Wi-Fi triangulation if you have iOS and Android. The only way to evade it is to get this new Librem 5 phone, which is a Linux phone. And why don't you watch my video, Tony? Come on, Tony. Help me out. You're here every time. You don't watch my videos. Support me. Watch the videos so that when you come in here, you have intelligent questions. Because I've already answered this in many videos, and I want to keep repeating, okay? Just understand that there's a technology to track you. You can't evade Wi-Fi triangulation. You cannot turn it off. There is no off switch for promiscuous mode. Your computer can track your location. If you turn on your computer anywhere, Wi-Fi triangulation will locate it. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have a GPS. Any device that has Wi-Fi can be tracked within 6 zucking feet. If you don't believe me, get your old MacBook, turn it on, and Find My Phone can find it. How does Zuck that Find My Phone find a phone that doesn't have GPS? Wi-Fi triangulation. Okay? Now, let me ask you this. Does ham radio have Wi-Fi triangulation? In fact, does ham radio have GPS triangulation? Does ham radio have precise triangulation to 6 zucking feet? Can somebody answer that question? Can ham radio find you within 6 zucking feet? Is there a way for ham radio to do that? Come on, there's guys here with ham licenses. Can a ham radio spot you within 6 zucking feet? Now the problem with somebody was complaining to me today and saying ham radio requires that you announce yourself and say, K4 BXX. Okay? So then somebody can look you up. Oh, K4BXX is actually Rocinante Paladin. And then they say, oh, and he lives on 123 Main Street. Yeah, that's on your license. That is correct. When you talk on ham radio, you are identified. There's no hiding who you are. There's no hiding on ham radio. You actually state. Unless you go against the law where you send encrypted communications. And in theory, you can do that, and especially for short bursts, you could do that and not be found. Yes, it is possible to do that. Okay, I saw them, yes, Frequency, that's a cool movie. I forgot about that. It's a long time ago. Okay, so yes, you can go against the law. It is against the law to use encryption on ham radio frequencies, against the law. But it can be done, and if it's in a case where it's the S hits the fan, may not matter if you use encryption. So nobody's gonna care because there's no government. I used to be a ham radio user. So Rocinante, just be worried about being tracked. So if you don't believe me, you have a lot to learn about what people are doing to you right now. If you don't realize that somebody is manipulating you and you don't even know it, and you wonder why I'm getting all these fake news, because you're being tracked. What kind of license? What do you mean? What kind of license? I have a ham radio license. Depends on how long you talk radio, finding you keep transmitting. Yes, Murray the Hut. So let's talk about the fact that somebody was complaining that if you go on ham radio, you announce yourself and somebody can look you up. So there's no secrets on ham radio. We know who we're talking to. You need a technician license, Tony. It's the first level. The first level license is called a technician license. So yes, you are announced on the radio, but this is the one thing about ham radio that's very interesting. Ham radio is not in a mass database. There's no mass profiling of ham radio conversations. None. Now somebody say, how do you know that? Because of the problem of how the Zuck do you record decentralized conversations in several regions all over the country. For example, I talk over here in LA, and then I go 40 miles away, and even if I use a repeater, I can no longer hear anyone, and then I gotta go have a different conversation, a different channel, and perhaps not even use a repeater. Depending on the frequency, like FRS is extremely limited. I mean, FRS conversations go only to, if you're lucky, a quarter of a mile. GMRS conversations, if it's not in a repeater, you're lucky, even at high power, to get a mile. Lucky. Ham radio is a little bit bigger range because it has repeaters. But the fact of the matter is, you'd have to put a sensor in every single part of the country, every square quarter mile, and have a receiver in there, and then record that and process zucking analog data. Process. Yes, I know about link repeaters. Yak. There's like a wind system and I'm in Southern California. There's a lot of repeater systems in here, all connected throughout the world with DMR and all that. Still, it's it's basically analog data. It's not something that you can store in a database. Programmers aren't going to be able to say, "Oh, I'm Zuck. I want to go find out what your religious preferences are and your political preferences, and I'm going to go store that in the database and go profile you." It can't do that. That's not true, Tony. You need lower frequencies. AM is daytime and usually close. AM is close. Reflected, the bouncing skywave transmissions are higher than AM radio. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, although you have no secrets on ham radio in the sense that you can openly communicate but state your name so everyone knows who you are, there is no danger of mass surveillance. It is not a mass surveillance platform. The only way you're going to be tracked on ham radio is active surveillance. Active surveillance. Active surveillance. So I told you can't evade the government. So if somebody says this is the bad guy and they know who you are, well, they'll just, follow you day in, day out. I mean, whether or not you use ham radio, it doesn't matter. They will follow you. They could probably bug you too. Okay? They can probably bug you too. You want to use the Face app, you want to get zucked. So ham radio, somebody said, well, but everything you talk about on ham radio is known because you identify yourself. And then there's a bunch of SDR websites that actually you can access and listen to traffic. It doesn't matter if they can listen to you because you're asking if somebody's putting it into a database with digital data that somebody can track and search in a database, and it's just not suitable for that. It's not something you can look up in a database, say, let me profile, get a list of the individuals I'm going to track. It doesn't work like that. It's just not a suitable platform. Analog is not suitable for that. So they're not going to waste time when all of you want to go on your cell phone anyway. They're not going to waste time exerting energy just for a few people who do ham when ham itself is not so popular anymore because of the cell phone. So right now, ham radio is a ton much safer. Do you really think FCC employees can't communicate with their family privately? Do you really think FCC employees can't communicate with their families privately? Well, they're FCC. They can talk with encryption. They set the rules. They can make a rule that says FCC employees talk with encryption. They could do that. You can be triangulated with ham radio, obviously, but you have to talk for a long time and persistently, because otherwise the triangulation doesn't work. To triangulate you, they have to go to location after location and then travel far enough distance that they can make, narrow you down. So if you're transmitting in short bursts, it's pretty hard. Okay, and you have to do it frequently. If you're always talking, you're loudmouth and you're talking politics all day, yes, they can track you unless you're mobile. Rocinante, I have a ham radio and I don't use it just in emergencies. I use it for communications. But yes, it's obviously it's for emergencies. Ham radio works when all others fail. Yes, ham radio will work when everything is down. Ham radio can work without a grid. Ham radio can work without power. Ham radio can work with repeaters, long distance, even in an earthquake. Ham radio is much more reliable than any other form of communication because it's the only one that will survive, even an EMP. A ham radio could survive an EMP. Some ham radios can survive an EMP, but there's no chance your grid will survive an EMP. How did the police now track exactly what street address a gunshot was heard a mile away from them? It's called having a witness, Tony. A witness. It's like you can't ask people, where did you hear the gun? Oh, I heard it over there. Oh, I heard it over there. Us ham radio users can use Morse code. Yes, Rosanante, if you use Morse code, you are awesome. I have some ham radio videos on my YouTube channel, so you need to follow that channel. Because I do a lot of stuff with ham radio that goes above and beyond. I'm doing mesh networks here with Arden Mesh, which is a ham radio, amateur radio, emergency data network. So I'm doing that. I have a multi-node setup here, multi-mile separation with nodes. I'm talking to nodes that are all over the city. Over 1,000 nodes, like 1,300, 1,400 nodes all over Southern California are connected through a wireless ham radio network, and many of it is battery operated. Wouldn't Citizen Band radio be better, mobile and no registration? No raise V, because Citizen Band has a very limited range. It really doesn't go very far. It's really made for line of sight. Citizen's Band is really made for a highway, straight shot, where you can see the people around you. It doesn't even go very well in hills. It's pretty useless for communication and emergency, because if you can't see the people you're talking to, it doesn't work. So that's why there's no license requirement. If you're going to use CB, then you might as well use GMRS, which does not have a test. Yes, of course, Lucifer Sam. So CB radio is kind of useless. I heard some people still use CB radio, and I'm shocked. That doesn't matter. CB can have upper and lower sidebands, and wouldn't be of any use, because CB is in itself a frequency where the devices are limited by the FCC. How do we know that you're really not a patient who snuck into the staff's office and are on air? That's right, Tony. You don't know that. Arden, yes. So Arden, the Arden, or some, I guess the people who made it call it Arden, the Arden network. So yes, I'm on the Arden network. So I'm connected. So 1,400 nodes here in Southern California on talking to other ham radio guys on there, and it's digital data, and it's high bandwidth at times, sometimes not, depending on who you're talking to. Between my nodes, it's very, very fast. I'm getting about 30 megabits between my nodes, and going to other nodes, I'm maxed out at maybe 6 or 7 megabits per second. So it's kind of slow elsewhere, but for me, it's fast for my own nodes. So there's zucking Uncle Joe. So anyway, as much as this is really funny, it's almost like inconsistent. Ham radio is something where you cannot be pseudo-anonymous in ham radio. You can't be pseudo-anonymous in ham radio. Ham radio means you announce your call sign if you want to stay legal. And if you don't, then somebody will triangulate you, because they're going to say there's some cheater over here. They're going to triangulate you and report you to the FCC. So people are typically, it's the group self-enforces. And now, this is an observation I can make, that because of the age group, the ham radio people tend to be more conservative in general. Okay? in general, I'm gonna say that the group tend to be more conservative, and it must be because of the age. Because I think I want to get a ham radio. I just don't like those big antennas. No, where's my small radio? It's handheld. My handheld radio can go to a repeater. Most of the conversations on ham radio occur on UHF, Tony. UHF. You use a $25 radio and it's UHF. Now there's some rules. You gotta learn how to communicate because they don't like somebody just saying breaker breaker. What's your 20? So if you're gonna do that, you're gonna do breaker breaker on ham radio. They're gonna go say "Suck you." Oh, Roxanante, please follow my YouTube channel, and I want you to watch Roxanante. I think you're clearly, uh, not you're not. I thought you were a young kid for a moment, but I guess not. You really need to educate yourself on what goes on because even my own family members think that Facebook is safe. Yes, they always think that Facebook is safe, and that's the start of it. If you think Facebook is safe, then there's definitely you will say, "Well, I don't have anything to hide, so why do I need to bother?" You do need to hide. You do need to hide, just because you want to be in control of your own freedom and not have somebody manipulate it. I don't want my votes to be manipulated. I don't want my thoughts to be manipulated. I don't want my neighbors to be manipulated because they can then control the vote. If a manipulating party manipulates 70% of the population to vote a certain way, it affects you. So you say, "Well, I don't care about being tracked." Yeah, it's it's really bad. If it's really not bad if they're just tracking you and then not do nothing with it. But if they're tracking a population of people and then using that, just like Cambridge Analytica to influence your vote, then I'm starting to worry. I have 7 decades breeding, but learning New World tendency is important. There you go, Rocinante. Surprising, your age group, you'd typically be on YouTube more than Periscope. It's I don't usually see seventh decade people on Periscope. This is typically a 14, 15-year-old platform. That's unfortunately. So watch on YouTube where there will be more people, more variety. Periscope is kind of weird. I'm telling you right now, Rosinante, if you're new to Periscope is kind of weird. So it's getting weirder. But news are live. Yes, it is on YouTube as well. Periscope is that explains why I watch on Periscope. Yes, Uncle Joe, but you're getting up there in age too, Uncle Joe. You shouldn't be on Periscope anymore. I'm from the East Coast, been in Cali once. I really want to visit again before the big quake. In case we disappear, Tony, in case we get buried in earthquakes. So, by the way, I'm to interrupt my broadcast. I got to interrupt my broadcast because I didn't tell you a story. No, Periscope is definitely not Craigslist. It's more Pornhub. Pornhub. Okay, let me tell you a little story. This is the Okay. Break. Story break. Wait, Rosanante, I have a story. I was 15 once. Okay, 4 times. There you go. Okay, I have a story for you. So I went to the dealer to buy a car. Okay, you know how difficult it is to buy a car. You go in there, pick the car, you negotiate and do all this and go, plunk your big bucks and, you drive home with a new car. Okay, Rosinante, don't leave yet. Just listen to the story. So I went to the dealer, got a new car. I had a lease. I had to turn my lease in, so I had no choice. I had to get a car. So turned in my car and got a new car out of there, and so happy that nice vehicle, and was so glad that everything turned out and it didn't take as long as I thought. and I should be retired, Heady Kent. And then I was in such heavy traffic that I was going pretty much at no more than 5 miles an hour for I'd say 90% of the ride. So it took about an hour to get 3 miles. It took an hour. I was only going 3 miles away. Okay, took an hour. So driving, for the whole stretch, the maximum speed was 5 knots. Then at the end of the thing, when I was almost home, then it freed up and I was able to go 40 miles an hour. I go 40 miles an hour and then the car starts to make a rumbling noise. The car starts to rattle. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's going on? The car starts to rattle. Okay, I said, when I get home, I'm gonna check this out because I was so close to home. Then when I was about, a couple hundred yards from my house, then it was like, wonk, like the big sound, and I stopped the car immediately, and I walked out of the car, and zuck, my left rear wheel was leaning like this. It's basically hanging on if you shake it, the whole vehicle would fall. I was basically, and then behind the car were all the lug nuts. The lug nuts of the wheel were behind the car. So what happened was the dealer that sold the car forgot to screw in the lug nuts. Basically, the wheel was not screwed in. The wheel was, you have to torque that too. You don't just put it in, you have to torque it. It wasn't screwed in at all. So all the lug nuts actually came off. And it was right behind the car. They just came off loose. They were obviously not all the way in. They probably just got hand screwed in. And I was so zucking straight. By the way, I was on a hill too. And it's like, oh my gosh, I just bought a car and the wheel came off. Oh my gosh. It's like, good thing, can you imagine if I went on the freeway with that? And when I was test driving the car, I did test drive the car, and when I test drove the car, the salesman said, "Should we take it to the freeway?" I said, "Never mind. I know the car. I don't need to take it to the freeway." If we went on the freeway, we would have fucking died. If we went on the freeway. Can you imagine losing a wheel in a fucking freeway? Good thing we did not test drive it. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. That would be crazy, crazy, crazy. So yeah. So I said, "Zuck." So dealer came and towed the car away, and zuck. I didn't even go in the car. I wasn't gonna step in there. I step in there, it's gonna go fall, might land on me. So and it will roll back because it was on a hill, downhill like this. So not only did it stop with one wheel, but it was like at a steep angle. Spinning vehicle, losing a wheel on the freeway. The good news is you don't have to worry about that first scratch. What? So anyway, that's my that's I was gonna do videos. I couldn't do videos yesterday. I was just and today because it's still going on. I got to go pick up the car, tomorrow. I have a saying: the tree leaf doesn't move without God's think. Yes, Rosinante. That's why don't you show them your $400 Brooks Brothers scarf? I don't have to. I was already in a nice car. Nice luxury car that apparently that doesn't guarantee anything. So zocked up. So that was crazy, crazy, crazy. You know, I live in a city of crazy people. Today, just to talk about craziness here. You know, I was having going to dinner. I was going to dinner, and then there was an emergency vehicle. You know, a ambulance coming on the road, and it was a stop light. It was a stop. It was red, and here comes the you know, the fire, the ambulance, and these bikers were biking and blocked the ambulance. So I'm not gonna care about an ambulance. I'm on a bicycle because I don't need to follow any fucking laws. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna worry about that. It's like people. I mean, can you imagine blocking an emergency vehicle with a fucking bicycle? Do you know about car computers? Yes, yes. And Gables is around. Shared, yeah. This California, Joe, Uncle Joe. Yes, they do. God's kid. Anyway, that's just my side rant of the day. Side rant. So anyway, the dealer is pretty embarrassed and doing its best to make it up to me. So they're obviously one employee zocked up, and you know, and they're looks like they're making it up to me in some way. We'll see. So I don't need to say anything negative about them because they're you know, it's one person's mistake. Somebody in that you know, dealership screwed up, and I've been going there, you know, for a long time, and you know, never had a problem before. So I'm sure they're very, very, you know, bothered by this. My engine light keeps blinking and it's really cold inside. What does that mean? It's bad business to sabotage cars. I like that, great goal. They should leave you buy a new $400 scarf. Uh, it's too hot right now. Can't do that. So anyway, towards the end of the video, you did on mobile phone track. You mentioned that Purism Linux will not stop corporations from spying on you. No, will not stop governments and carriers from spying on you. It will stop. It will stop. Obviously, Google, Apple, Facebook, all of that, because they have no mechanism to do the kind of tracking that they can do on iOS and Android. So iOS and Android, by making the choice of having an iOS and Android phone, you're pretty much locked into the tracking. There's nothing you can do. If you're on a Librem 5 Linux phone, in theory, because I don't have one, in theory there's still mechanism to do location tracking and do all that, because they don't have those features in the OS. The OS is a Linux OS, and they took out those things that would do that. So in theory, that none of that would work. So then a carrier can only track you by cell tower. So they would only be able to track you by cell tower. They probably can't track you by GPS either. It's only going to be by cell tower. So can you stop that? No. But at least it's not, the information will not be as precise because they will block the GPS. So I hope they do. At least that's, I think, what they intended to do. So if so, then the Librem 5 may be a good option, because even if the ISP spies on you, add a VPN on it, then the ISP sees less. And if they don't get GPS position, then the only thing they get is a tower triangulation, which is very limited. There's probably homemade Linux phones out there. A Linux phone is a very complex thing, because Linux is just not designed for phone use, as you will find when you get Librem. It's not. They have some issues, so they have to solve a lot of things, because Linux was not designed for. It's not going to be as useful. Let's say it doesn't have all the. It's not going to have all the advanced features of, let's say, Android and iOS, because it's it's not mobile. So they're having to add mobile features to Linux, which is limited. So hopefully they've accomplished a lot of that. It's open source, so we'll see what happens. And so I'm hoping it works out, because if Librem succeeds with this, then other companies can follow, and then we'll have a lot of choices of Linux phones. You still need Tor VPN. Yeah, you still need that, because that's for data. Yeah, you still need that because your IP address will still be revealed. So you can't stop that even with a Linux phone. So you still need the usual, but at least if you take care of the SIM card problem by rotating SIM cards to give this information and so on, then it will be a much better option than not doing anything. However, it's not going to be a perfect solution for tracking. It will still allow you to be tracked, just maybe at 50% instead of 100%. I have to say good night. Okay, Rosinante, please come on by again. I'm trying to limit my topic, Rosinante. Mostly the stuff I've said is already in the videos. So go to YouTube and follow it, because otherwise it's hard to keep explaining things that I have gone through ages and ages ago. So I just point to the video, and then you can see what I'm talking about. I think you will understand it. They're short, typically 5-minute videos. So anyway, Angel, it's a standard browser, so it should just work by itself. Probably doesn't need anything, because Braxme runs in a browser by itself. So we'll see what I have to do, if I need to do anything in particular for using it on a Linux phone. There may be some things I got to do. I don't know yet until I see it. I like your stuff. Cheers. Okay, old man. Flappy nuts. Yes, please follow my channel and watch all those videos in there. So as much as to summarize, as much as ham radio seemed to be the most open, in a sense that there's no pseudo anonymity, you always have to announce yourself. It's just not a platform. Yes, somebody can listen in, your neighbor can listen in, and you don't go in there talking about your finances, and you don't go have a dispute with your neighbor online and all that. But that's the same everywhere. It's open conversation. But the danger of the profiling and tracking, which is the most manipulative part of communication, is what does not happen on ham radio. So in that sense, yes, it's not private, but it is not a manipulated platform. No one can manipulate you on ham radio and say, that's not a topic, we're going to ban that because you're too left-wing or too right-wing. We're going to ban you from ham radio. There's no such thing. You can say what you want, respectfully, obviously, because there's some rules against that. But if you're respectful and have an opinion, you can say it. No one's going to stop you. There's no platform saying, I'll decide what is being said. No one can do that on ham radio. No one can limit what you say. And surely enough, there's a bit of politics in there sometimes. You hear a little bit of political discussions and debates sometimes. Typically less debates, and reason being the age group. Maybe because most people are on ham radio are the older ones. But I hope that changes. I want young people to get into ham radio, because we got to get some alternate communications away from spy bricks. Well, this has police checkpoints. There are no ham radio police checkpoint. No. What is a ham radio police checkpoint? What does that mean? How do you can you explain that? Um, I'm 19. I'd love to learn ham. You're 19. That's awesome. Yeah. Speed traps tip off. Most people talk to ham are further apart than that. They're not able to identify. You need to use Waze, which tells you where the police are, and so that the Waze can track you. At the exact moment. Hate that. That's why I prefer built-in navigation. I know Waze is more useful because it's up to date and can reroute your traffic. The Waze app, yeah, owned by Google, which tracks you like heck. It tracks you like heck. You use Waze and it knows where you live. I've been laying on the beach all week. Cowboy! Cowboy is zucking back. Cowboy is zucking back. How do they know where everyone is on Waze? Wi-Fi triangulation, obviously, Mad Cow. How do you know where you are in Waze? Waze has a little dot that shows you where you are as you're moving. I mean, come on. It's like, Mad Cow, go run Waze and see it knows exactly where you are. And you tell me how that's happening. That's Wi-Fi triangulation in action. Google Maps predicts where my mom is about to drive to on certain days. Yes, Mad Cow. Waze always tracks you. Yes. KGB. Good thing there's no more KGB, hey, or I would have banned that. I think days are gone where government can track any and all. Ray Z, that is correct. But, if I want to confuse the issue, I'd stay on ham radio. And if you have friends on ham radio, go on some channels that are hardly used, and I bet you no one would care. Okay? I like these other brothers can't deny. Don't demonetize my. Don't say that on YouTube, Cowboy. You're gonna demonetize me here. I'm glad that Monero is partnering with Purism. Monero is partnering with Purism? How is Monero partnering with Purism? Really? I wish Monero success. And yes, Cowboy. Miss your all the trouble that you caused in a good way. Look it up. I believe you. I just interested. Maybe because I haven't been following the anything but Bitcoin nowadays. Right now, I'm only on a Bitcoin only mode. I'm not following all the other alts. I'm wearing myself IoT going back to 80s style telecom. No, I know that, Mad Cow. I'm saying, what is the connection with Purism? Like, what are they doing with Purism? He likes to be on Libra. I wouldn't invest in it, Rob. I do not invest in Monero, but I invest in Bitcoin. I am invested in Bitcoin, yes. It's just a small amount. And enough that if it makes money, then I'll appreciate it. I know it will have value until the government places a stamp on it. So yeah. So anyway, I'm a big crypto fan, especially of right now today. Bitcoin. Bitcoin it's going to be in the 20K area or more by December. I think that's clearly what the trend is. Something major has to happen for that to reverse. At the moment, it's looking like it's gonna be at 20K by the end of the year, and maybe you know, keep going from there. It could go up to, you know, much higher than that by next year. So we shall see. Yeah, hey, you want to bet? How about we bet a Librem 5 phone? You want to bet on that? I hope a whale drops a bomb on it. Oh, stream was down. I thought you said Bitcoin was gonna go down. Um, I hope crypto drops dramatically so I can get my own piece of the pie. Well, it's it keeps dropping, and if you ignore the drops, it went down to 95, and if you didn't if you didn't dip in, then I don't know what to tell you. Every time it drops, buy some. I'm very glad to see more dips to buy. Did anyone else get a Bitcoin for less than 5 digits per? Yeah, I originally bought my Bitcoin, Mad Cow, for 2,000. So that's how much I spent on my Bitcoin. 2,000 originally. Sell when you are high. How easy it is. As they say, hodl, hodl. And Gables hodls, hodl. I bought at 1K. Zuck skills, you got ahead of me. And huge D bite there, bought it in, I don't know, $20 or something. So he bought it like $20. I can see an America coin, Zuck. That's like run by the Treasury, right? I'm glad to run by the Treasury. Anyway, back to our. Do you get your? How do you get your hand on BTC without a trace? I can't seem to find a way other than a BTC meetup. It's getting harder to do that, old man. You can do small amounts at ATMs. Go to an ATM and you're going to pay for it though. There'll be a premium, but when it comes to privacy, so go to an ATM and buy in cash at an ATM machine. So there's BTC ATMs. So you're kind of limited in the amount, but if you do it often enough, put put small amounts in, it will add up at some point. So there you go. I know where ATMs are. Their ATMs are in the city. So you can. That's about the only way you can do it now, where it's not tracked. ATM. You sell your Bitcoin for Monero, then buy Bitcoin with new wallet. Do you know why they say cash is king? Cash is not king. That's king. Bitcoin won't survive. This may survive. So you gotta have mix. Some cash, some of this, some Bitcoin, some alts. Can't stick to one. You never know. Yes, but most of these ATMs ask for invasive amounts of information. Do they now? They never did before. In the past, the ATMs were blind. You just put the money in, and they don't ask for anything. They ask for information now. Then back in the day, they didn't ask for anything. It may depend on the ATM itself. Okay. Another way of doing it is to travel to a different country and buy Bitcoin there. Buy Bitcoin in a different country, because it doesn't matter where you buy the Bitcoin. So go to another country and take a trip, go buy Bitcoin there, and there you go. And say, I want to buy Bitcoin with this. I got a lot of this. Can you sell me some Bitcoin? I heard there are some that do not do this. Old man, I've picked ones that do not ask for information. So the ATMs that I use do not ask for information. So I've never actually given any information on ATM. And another way is to trade for services, and have somebody pay you. If somebody can pay you, say, why don't you pay me in Bitcoin? Then you don't buy the Bitcoin, somebody else buys it and pays you. Then if you want to go hide that, easy. You pass it through an alt and then turn it back into Bitcoin. Cash is king because it's tangible. Cowboy, you apparently didn't study economics. Cash is not tangible. The piece of paper from the government is tangible. If the S hits the fan, it doesn't matter what it says on there, it's not tangible. Tangible is food, water, ammo, medicine, things that you can trade. That's tangible. When we get into online warfare, somebody will drop an EMP and there will be no online. So cash is fiat. Yes. Fiat means the government tells you how much it's worth. It's not really worth that. It's what the government tells you. Nothing will save you, but my ham radio will, cowboy. That's why you bounce it out. Say, oh, your fiat won't help you. Your Bitcoin won't help you. That's true. Your VPN won't help you. That's probably true. Ham radio will help me. My mesh network will help me. Yes, I know, but gold is more valuable. But in essence, something really tangible is valuable. But some cash is initially in a SHTF situation. A cash is initially valuable, but later on, nobody cares about the cash anymore. Or know how to use a 22 and hit a squirrel from 20 yards out. Yeah, I haven't really done a lot of target shooting with, like precise target shooting with a 22. And I know that my 22 is not accurate enough to 20 yards. I have a red dot on the 22. I don't think it, I don't know if I can hit a squirrel at 20 yards with a 22. I can hit it easily with an AR, though. If I had such a thing. Poor squirrels. You'll know at some point the next 911 will be a knockout of all these toys. Cowboy, why do you think I do prepping things? Why do you think I have HF Zucking radio, cowboy? You haven't been watching me. I get HF radio, I get ham radio, I got batteries, I got solar chargers. Zuck, cowboy, you haven't been watching. I was talking about prepping right before the earthquake, and then the earthquake happened, and I was like, oh, no big deal. I'm ready. I got everything. So I even had a bug out. I don't have cash. Who cares about the cash? Got food. Food, water, ammo, stuff like that. Go old school. Use a 308. I don't want variations in my ammo rates V, but that's a good idea. But I don't want to use the two different ammo. Stick to NATO. Easier to find compatible platforms. 30-08. I gotta go look for some. I guess they're easy to find, but antique. You can always make a spear. Know how to snare? No, cowboy. I don't. But I have, the 22 is a better snaring. I saw that. Is Modep a musician operated device? What the zuck is a Modep? Go. What is a Modep? I don't know what that is. And a country boy can survive. Anthony Muzz. Hello, Anthony. So, oh, never mind. I think you meant model. Oh, you mean no? Yeah, I was the 30-08. I was talking about 30-08. Uh, and in fact, one of my most favorite old guns is a M1 carbine, which is 30 cal. Yeah, and M1 carbine. I like them because they're light. They're not like a heavy Garand, which are like really a full M1 is really really heavy. So I don't I guess they're good enough for World War II, but they're kind of heavy. So for World War II, I'd rather have a M1 Garand, which is much lighter, much lighter. So it uses different ammo. It uses 30 cal, not a 30-08. Uh, Hello, Gina. Do you believe in UFOs? Trump does not. I like the 410 shotgun. Uh, Trump doesn't believe in US. Hello, Gina. What's up, my friend? Almost no kick in a 410. Um, is that like a? It's a. What is a 410? Is that like a 20 gauge? Mad cow. I don't have any. I don't. I don't do shotguns. I don't do shotguns. So I'm melting. It's so hot. Woo. It's not. California has not been hot the entire summer. Even right now, it's pretty cool. What do you believe? 41 caliber equilateral. What does that zucking mean? Equivalent. Uh, the 410. But he said it's a shotgun. So that's pretty small. So what is that? What gauge is that? So why? Hypothetically, a 67 gauge. That's pretty small. I think Trump does not believe about aliens to a degree but won't admit it. So I think Trump does believe about aliens to a degree but won't admit it. Smallest bore shotgun. Why? Don't you like this? This is pretty small. Look at the look at the size of the bullet. It's only 22. Look at that. It's really small. You see, the bullet is only a 22. Look at how tiny the bullet is. That is the only thing that actually, flies. That little thing is the only thing that flies. The rest of it gets ejected. So why would you have if we had to info to alien, they wouldn't give him the intel. Can project 300 buckshot. Just 3 takes the fight out of him. What's your opinion on the raid that's being planned? Raid of what? Raid of Area 51? They want to get killed? It's best purpose for teaching kids. Really? I think I saw that in the news. Did they look at? I don't know if you know this. Have you actually? I actually did this. Okay. Have you actually looked at Area 51 on Google Earth? Has anyone looked at Area 51 on Google? Raise your hands. Type a 1 if you've looked at Area 51 on Google Earth. Because I have. Has anyone looked at Area 51 on Google Earth? I want to know. Type a 1 if a yes, type 2 if no. 2 is a no. Mad Cow is a yes. Two. Anyone is only Mad Cow has done search of Area 51 on. Have you done a search of? Have you done a search of Fort Meade? On now that's very interesting. Have you done a search of Fort Meade on Google Earth? It is on Google. It is, Gina. It is on there. It is on there. So anyway, so if you actually look at the the layout of Area 51 on a map, it's surrounded by mountains, steep mountains. The Area 51 South is a valley. There's actually very limited roadway in there. I don't even know how you can cross to it. Uh, you'd have to do some, I don't know, mountain climbing to get into an area, and I don't think you can get in there in like large numbers of people unless they're all mountain climbers. I, I don't know how they're gonna do that. Maybe they didn't look at Google Earth because they block one of the entry roads and say, "Oh, we'll walk." Okay, the helicopter can easily spot you, and it's a long way because the only way in is from a road they can block 50 miles away. What does this have to do with ham radio? It was a question. Hey, was it? What does it have to do with cell phones? There are probably no cell phones there. Yeah, it looks pretty dead at Area 51. It's best for what? The furries will get behind the anti-vax kids and what? In the back. Yeah, try that, Mad Cow. I've seen the layout. So you have to climb. They selected this for reasons. It's pretty hard to get in there. So you pretty much have to. They probably surrounded with infrared sensors like way, 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 way far away. So they know you're coming close. Are you going? No ducking away. I'll just be happy to. So anyway, did anyone do a comparison of Area 51 over the years? Because I've seen a comparison of the Area 51 the way it looked like 20, 25 years ago to today, and it has expanded. So it's there are many, 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 many more buildings today than there was, and who knows? I don't even know what's underground, right? So from above ground, there's a lot of new structures. Above ground, there's a lot of new structures, and you can't come close because Google Earth doesn't let you. So you can only see it kind of from a distance, and it's kind of microscopic in there, but you can see like reflections of many, many buildings. So I guess they're doing something. They're very busy there. So I'm sure Trump knows what's happening. If you are Naruto, Naruto running, the bullets can catch you. Boy, I had a hard time translating that. Okay. Maybe I'm not up to date with the news. I don't really watch the news, so I don't even understand what's going on. Shame on Google for blocking visual access on Google Maps. Great gold. Can I tell you what's interesting? If you did a Google Map search on Fort Meade, the headquarters of the National Ducking Agency, check that out. Check that out. Very interesting. Because there is no street view. When you do street view, it's graphics. It's like hand-drawn buildings, and clearly not what it looks like because you can see the buildings from the freeway. So if you stay on the freeway and look, you can see the tall buildings. Then you go street view and they all disappear. So you can't go plan. You can't say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna leave some explosives over here or there," because you have no idea what the layout is. From there. What is Area 51? Why don't you Google that, Rex? Google Map of takes a tennis court on the hunting ground. Oh my gosh! It's running meme from where you hold your arms back as run shoot off. What the fuck does that mean? The fuck does that mean? Anyway. So anyway, I think that to summarize, I'm going to make just a closing statement here before I run off. But it's my No, I'm going to say something else. But it's my belief that ham radio is the safest mode of communication, and it certainly allows you a method that you don't have access to right now. If I need to talk to somebody directly, you can even use something called DMR, which goes to the internet. But if you use DMR, you can basically reach a single radio, kind of like a phone, and announce yourself, and even take a recording. And I don't like it because it's still trackable because it goes through the internet. But don't forget to reset South server. So anyway, one more thing. I was trying to spend the week making because I'm going to do a bunch of videos about my security products. I'm building some physical security systems. So I have a lot of electronic things that we're constructing and testing over here, and I didn't have a lot of the parts, and there as I did it, then there were more parts needed, and more software to be written. But let me just tell you some of my ideas of what's coming and why this is different. For those of you who've gone and gotten security systems from Google Home, Ring, Alexa, Echo, all these stupid systems that spy on you and can check your activity in the house, or gotten simplistic systems like the ones from Simply Safe, and or have a cheap, way of looking with an indoor camera like Wise Cam. These are solutions that I found to be pretty much useless for what I really want to do. And so what I did was design my own security system that I'm gonna share with you guys when it's done. I'm gonna share first as videos so you see what I'm up to, and then at some point, then when I know that it's working, I will make it available for marketing. But some of these are much more sophisticated. For example, one of the first things I'm building, and it's already running, it's a camera system with pretty high resolution video or still shots, but it's based on radar. So it's not taking motion from a distance using movement in the picture. It doesn't do that. It's actually radar, so it only triggers when you actually approach it within a certain distance, and it's actual radar. So it can spot anything that even if you just flick your hand, it will spot that. And the radar then will cause the recording of the video, and the video or the camera shot will trigger a notification on Braxme. You're going to get an instant notification for anything on the perimeter before they even enter the house. So there will be a lot of notifications for if somebody goes to the utility guy goes to the side of your house to check the meter. Done. Camera shot. This is pre-intrusion. My idea is that security should be more heavy on the perimeter side, and by the time they actually do an internal intrusion to your house, it's too late. I want to prevent that. I want to watch what people do before they come into the house. I want cameras. So one of the things that I'm building is the radar system with the camera. We experimented with laser tripwire. So we were going to do a laser tripwire. That may be for later because the radar works better. So I'm going to do the radar first. And the nice thing is that it works from your phone, and you see it immediately. So basically, if you get a Brax notification, you tap on it and you see it. You don't have to go search for the app or whatever, and it can integrate with any number of these devices in the house. And so if you have if you have 2 cameras, 3 cameras, 4 cameras, or sensors, they will all work. Now, the other thing I'm going to add with this is a solar powered sensor radar that is not tied to your house, meaning completely standalone. So you can put as an example, you can put a radar detector in your backyard, uh, or in some ways away, and it will warn you. And this is not wired. There will be no wiring involved. It's just going to be a box by itself, and that will communicate with your system. So to really give you full perimeter control with cameras, with radar, and then combined with whatever internal securities, turn on your house lights and all that. That's all going to, and we got them all at work now, and it's just, tweaking it and making videos to show you. And then I got to find a way to package it so, people don't laugh at it and say, you put it in this plastic box. It may, the cheap version will have to be in a plastic box, but if you want to have a full-blown, camera, thing, then I got those too. So I'm actually, you can go either way because you can kind of build it yourself if you want to as well. So this is going to be, hello, Tweet This Babe. Tweet This Babe is back. So anyway, this has been my project. That's the reason I haven't been making videos, is because I'm trying to research this and do this, and it's taking a little longer as I'm trying to construct the electronics. I'm good, Tweet This Babe. Good to see you again. It's been a while. So anyway, this is going to be simple to install as well. You likely don't have to drill anything. The way I'm thinking about right now, and it should be fairly easy to install and power compared to most security systems, which require often some electrician to go set it up. So that's my plan, and then I'm going to install it in my house, and see if I can put full. Kind of Zuck says, King Zuck says, you are fake news. Yeah, Zuck him. So anyway, that's the plan, and so I'm going to create a new category of videos relating to physical security to do this, and it kind of connects to what I do, because I don't want to just protect. What's the point of protecting you on the internet and then somebody comes to your house, and you don't have any idea that somebody's stalking you from outside? Could I get a discount for your birthday? So these are not going to be $50 devices. They're going to be more sophisticated, radar and all this. Some of them wireless, all of them wireless, and all of them integrated with your free Braxme app, and it already works. And your mayor, and my mayor. Don't you want to support your broadcaster? Instead of asking for discount, you say, what more can I do to help the broadcasters? Because, I don't make a living when I do this. This is, what I do here is basically for your benefit. Okay, so what I do here is for your benefit. Now, my King Zuck killed your mayor. We all celebrate the same day. Now I'm not sure what's being said. Anyway, so that's my that's my project, and it's gonna be I'm excited by it. I'm gonna go, at least for my own version of it, for my house. I'm gonna get kind of do overkill and see how that works, and then maybe find some way to cut the cost down as I develop it. But right now, I just bought everything I can get, and then assemble the first piece, and then if I get it running with the sophisticated version, then you'll see how it might interest you. But it's really really exciting because it's I haven't seen products. I'm always out there searching for products. As an example, there's this company called Simply Safe that's hounding me daily, wanting me to buy Simply Safe because Simply Safe seemed like a good inexpensive security system, and then you start noticing that Simply Safe focused on indoor security because that's how they stay cheap, do indoor. But when you start doing, thank you, Twitty, thank you very much. When you do exterior or perimeter security, then it becomes more costly because there's installation, wiring, and all other issues. Hello, Unexpected. Welcome back, Unexpected. So when you go out there doing perimeter security, it takes a lot of thought to say, how are you going to install this? It always stopped me. I look at a security system and I say, how is this going to integrate with my security system? And you find it's very, very difficult. And I do not want to use Google Home, Ring, or any of that that connects my stuff to the internet, because then you become a target for hackers. So do not want to do that. Oh, thank you, Twitty. You even left a note on there. Thank you. All your security feeds belong to King. Yeah, sure. Anyway, that's the long-term plan, and it's taking a little longer to get the videos going for this. No, but I have to have it too, Gina. I'll have it first. You'll see in the video if it works. My windows were smashed once. I'm telling you, it's so awesome to watch it work. You come. It doesn't pay attention to the street, so street traffic can come and go. But if somebody comes into your house, by the time they step into your driveway, snapshot, and you don't get a lot of false alarms because they actually have to be within a range of the radar. So it doesn't do that. Some of these cheap cams, they take a street shot of the view, and if the leaves move or a car drives by, then they have to take a snapshot. This doesn't do that. It's completely based on radar. And so if you're not within the radar range, it's not going to do anything. You have a dash cam? No, I do not have a dash cam. You, however, have a phone that you can use as a dash cam. Just stick your phone on your dash, stick a suction cup, phone holder, turn around, it's a dash cam. You don't need to spend money. So anyway, appreciate it, guys. I got to go back to work and go back to my electronics, since I'm trying to build this, and it's quite difficult. So so I will get back to you with a video very shortly. Okay. Thank you, Gina Shubi. Thank you, Twitty, for your tip. Build it and they will come. I hope so. Otherwise, I go broke. I hope so. How does it work at night? Infrared? Yes, it has infrared, but radar doesn't care if it's day or night. Eagle soars, it's radar. There's no day or night. Radar works. And Gables is in and out. Radar works at 24 hours a day. So radar. Yes, okay. So no, for the picture image. Well, you have to get a infrared light. The camera I'm using it works with infrared, but you have to have a separate infrared light, which you can buy. So you have your camera, then you add an infrared light. The bigger the light, the better the image. Okay? So if you want to do that. I found, though, that having a very detailed infrared view doesn't really help me identify the person. So my experience, I'd rather have real light. Because infrared light, it's very hard to see the face. Okay, because it's reverse image, right? But if you have real light, and if you can see some outline of their face, that'll be better. Yeah, so that's my opinion. Is put real light out there, and maybe relay it to switch on your, house exterior lights, which you can do, and hook it as a relay to this. You can do that as well. I can wire to do that. So that's one other possibility. Okay. So anyway, thank you so much, and yes, thank you, Twitty, and I appreciate those who support the cause, like Twitty. Uh, uh, this is so appreciated when people donate, since I've spent all my time 24 hours a day just doing this. I don't really do anything else but do these broadcasts. So basically, my entire income is based on what happens on YouTube, mostly YouTube, not really Periscope. So mostly, what happens on YouTube and support I get is what what will hopefully in the future fund this operation. So, and then maybe when you buy my product, I will also fund it. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Good night.